Today on RB's Toy Box, we're going to take a look at the Klingon Bird of Prey by Playmobil. We're going to see if it matches up to all the hype that people's been giving it. See if it's worth being in your collection. Stay tuned. While not terribly prominent in the television series, the Klingon Bird of Prey as we know it today pretty much got its start in the movies the way that we know it, with the fixed wings and movable and all this kind of stuff. But seen mostly starting over here in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, and then seeing again over here in Star Trek 4, and then of course some mentions of it in 5 with, being chasing Kirk throughout the universe, and then of course we see it with the cloaking system and so forth in Star Trek 6. It's become a staple of Star Trek. And as a matter of fact, when you go to these different conventions, you'll have as many people now looking to be Klingons as you do dressing up to be, cosplay in Star Trek. So when we start looking at the next edition for Playmobil to come out, what better set than putting out something with the Klingon Bird of Prey? I'm going to give you my opinions as we look at it a little bit closer, but let's go upstairs to the toy box and take a look around at this new toy. Now today we're going to, of course, take a closer look at the Bird of Prey, part of the Playmobil collection of the 2 main Star Trek pieces that they now have. Now this won't be an unboxing video per se. There's plenty of those out there online if you wanted to take a look at it. This one's going to go a little bit more in-depth into the actual unit itself, some close-ups of it, and my impressions of, my opinion at the end of the day, to determine whether you want to add one of these to your Playmobil or Star Trek collection. And is it worth, let's face it, $300? Now, previously, I, on one of my videos, asked everyone, should I spend the money and go ahead and get this now, or should I wait until the price comes down like it did on the Enterprise? Well, my wife answered that for me on Christmas morning when I cracked open the box and found out I'm the proud new owner of a Klingon Bird of Prey. So that is now why I have this, and of course got it all set up for you today. So we're going to take again a little bit closer look at it and give you my impressions of it and kind of go from there. Now I want to start with the instructions. Just like with the Enterprise, the instructions are actually almost like a little comic book. They've done a good job kind of putting together a little bit of a preface with some different languages in there, some really good photography, if you will, and then it breaks it down into the little, characters and, what the buttons do and things of that nature. You know what? The good part of the instructions at that particular point end. It's over. Because it does a really poor job after that of giving you a lot of detailed instructions. And I will admit there's less to probably put on this or together with this than there is just about any other Playmobil that you've ever put together. I mean, it's literally like 5 pieces. That's it. Not really a whole lot to it. Well, I guess maybe more than 5 pieces, but I mean, as far as the major components, I literally had this assembled in about 10 minutes. I mean, it was really that simple. But, we're going to go through it a little bit further here and take a look at it. But let's go a little closer up. Well, now with this playset, more so than the Enterprise that I have up above, they decided to movie theme this one to Star Trek 3. and have the lava scene there towards the end of the movie where they beam down to the planet and the planet's coming apart, and of course you've got the Spock character, and then you got Kirk coming down in the outfit he's wearing, and then the Klingons. So they actually have quite a few Klingons in comparison to some of the other play sets, where again with this one you just got the crew. You didn't get any aliens or anything like that. They didn't try to put it against anything. This is more of the movie. Now, it's interesting that they chose to do it that way and have this be kind of the series, the Enterprise that I'm pointing to up here, and the Bird of Prey being more towards Star Trek 3 and 4. As to the stickers that you put on it, with the Mutiny on the Bounty sticker over on the right hand or left hand side, and then of course this being with the lava scene that we had aforementioned. So it's interesting that they decided to do that instead of keeping this more into the series. Or Playmobil, if you're watching these, I doubt you are, because I don't speak Deutsch, but if you're watching this in a translator, if you send out a different set of characters with Star Trek, basically, 4, 5, and 6 in their uniforms, you could almost use this one as the NCC 1701A and have it run throughout the duration of the movies, right? I mean, all it would take literally is a recharacterization or change in the uniforms of the other characters that you have for the bridge crew, like Scotty and what he's wearing, and the newer uniforms that you're finding in the movies. And if you really wanted to, you could also go in and change out, have a nacelle replacement kit for, the oblong ones that you see in that. I mean, you could do a little something to have these two relate closer between the series and the movie. That's my little caveat for the Playmobil folks. Now, let's talk for a few moments about the next major segment of that, and that's the actual audio-visual experience that you have with it. I'm going to move around to the back here. There are 4 buttons on the back that you'll see in the flyover. And with those 4 buttons, when you activate it, I don't even know if you could hear that. It says, "We are Klingons." That's as loud as it. I mean, I'm much louder than that is. Now, if you open this up, there's a little button on the bottom that allows this whole unit here to slide out. That unit is plugged into almost like an Ethernet or phone cable that goes up through the neck and up to the control unit that's inside of the little bridge here. Similar to the cable that you had up here with the Enterprise, where it went and hooked up that main unit up in the dish all the way down into the engineering department, and then it has a little spot in the bottom for a S cable for the additional power, similar to what you've got up here with the older cable. But there's 4 slots right here. The speaker's like that big. And for the speaker being that big, it should be exponentially louder than it is. And with these 4 little slots muffling it that much more, I mean, this one was already pretty weak. I mean, you can hear it way better than you can hear this one. Probably because the speaker comes out to the bottom of the dish here, and the speaker's right next to the port where it lets a little bit of sound through. But this could have been like 3 volumes louder. This needs to be like 10 volumes louder, because I mean, the ship's technically running right now and you can't hear it. If I hit any of these other sounds, like I said, I don't even know if you can hear that through my lapel mic right here. It's so small. You literally have to be right here to really hear the authentic sounds that are coming both from the ship and from Star Trek 3, where all of the movie sounds are from on this particular set, even though the ship itself was featured a little bit more in Star Trek 4. Just saying. Now, along with that, again, you have the different buttons here, but that comes to the next part of the audio-visual experience. You have the ship lights coming off the back, and again, you'll see that in some of the flyover footage. and then you have the lights up here in the bridge in the control unit, and then around front you have that red glow coming around the torpedoes that actually looks good. They did a good job of having the LEDs churn around the edges, and so it gives it a nice authentic look when you're staring at it. Now let's talk about the next level experience that this has. Let's look at the bridge a little closer. Inside the bridge is a control panel here that has LED lights behind it. Now you can pull off, and this is the part that I really like / pet peeve, have issues with. If you take a really close look at these discs, they have a picture on them. And there are 4 discs just like this. The other 3 discs cleverly have a storage compartment over here inside of one of the rocks. So it has a lid, and that lid covers up the 3 additional discs here for a total of 4. Now, like a dummy me, I didn't notice that when I started putting these together, and I just put the stickers on them, and come to find out, if you're putting these together, every sticker has a purpose. Now watch this. On the back side of these discs is these little cutouts right here, these little protruding pieces of plastic that correspond with points inside the control panel right here. As a result, turn that back on. As a result, when you snap this into place, it plays different scenes from Star Trek 3. So each one has a different picture and plays a different scene from the movie, and that's determined based upon this. Now, here's where I felt that this was so cool, but it fell short. If you look closely at the LEDs that are shining through here, it so washes it out, you can't see it unless you literally take this out and then take a look at it. I mean, it's just that translucent that you really can't see it with the backlight coming through. Matter of fact, when you snap this in here with the red coming behind it, I mean, all you see is the red LEDs. You don't see any of the pictures. They really could have frosted that more and made it to where those LEDs weren't so vibrant to the point that it completely dulled the viewing experience and made it look more like an actual LED readout. Now, like I said, each one of these plays something different. So if I swap that one for this one, and snap that in, turns white, and then you hear very carefully in the back, it's playing a different scene from the movie. That, I think, is really cool, but again, execution-wise, that makes it less enjoyable because you can't really see what's going on inside. Now, sticker-wise, I think there's not very many stickers on the entire thing. There's 2 stickers right here, and then you have to assemble the chair, which just snaps in. Literally, there's like 4 or 5 other stickers. That's about it. Snap that back in there. Now let's look at the next segment here, dealing with the wings. One of the things that scared the bejesus out of me when I started putting this together is there was really no instructions on how to articulate the wings. You would think there is a switch or a release or something. I mean, and there's not. So not knowing and the instructions not telling you how to articulate the wings, this is what happens. Now, the first time you hear that, you think you broke something. And with the instructions having 0 to say about it, I mean, you literally think you're right. The only thing it says when you articulate them, to articulate them together. But there's no mechanism inside that's keeping them moving together, because if there were, these wouldn't be independent like this. So you can literally move this one this way and this one down that way, and it doesn't change anything. Again, there's no meshing mechanism inside that's keeping these things together. They're just, that's it. And if you don't know, I mean, you think that you broke it, because I mean, that sounds like a plastic breaking sound when you come to think about it. And with them having that, I don't know how long, I know this was made for kids at the end of the day, I don't know how long it's going to last sitting there going up and down, and you know, making it do what it's got to do. But I will say, in the different positions, they are screen accurate to the correct articulation of the wings in the 3 different positions. So that looks very impressive. With this thing completely spread out, it is wider than the Enterprise is, probably about 10 inches, well, about 9 to 10 inches, I would say. Lengthwise, you know, the Enterprise is right at a hair over 3 feet. This one's just a hair over 2. So it definitely has a good contrast between the 2 ships when they're sitting above each other like this. But that was the one thing that, you know, kind of got me with these wings. I was like, am I breaking something? You know, it's that's just, and it might be me. You know, you might have looked at that and go, that was no big deal. But for me, without it really having any instruction, you know, that just kind of surprised me that it was set up that way. Not to mention, these just had those little yellow, you know, Playmobil snap thingies in there. That was about it. Now, down here with the torpedoes, has a little switch over here on the side. When you push that backwards, it pulls these out. Now, I would hope, and I haven't looked that closely at the instructions, but I would hope that these are available to be purchased independently through a parts number list. If they're not, 3D print, guys, here you go, because if your kids come and play with this, they're going to lose this. It's just all there is to it. All of my kids are grown up, so I don't have to worry about that as much. But my grandkids will be over here one day, and unfortunately, they can't reach up this high just yet. Here's the other thing. I'm pulling this out right now. This is part, obviously, of the wing. It's rubber. So, you know, it's deformed, and when mine came in, I mean, it was like, you know, bent like this. So I had to almost heat it up a little bit to get it back into shape. And, you know, if somebody's playing with it or whatever, this is going to be all kind of wonky. If it's in a situation where it's in a hot room and not air conditioned or something, it's probably going to get a little droopy. I'm hoping some of my 3D print folks out there, friends that I've got on the internet, will 3D scan that baby and then print us one that doesn't have that goofy little backside of it, but give us something that'll slide right in place and will look really sharp and be the correct color, so that we can replace these and have something that looks as good as the rest of the ship does. Because everything else on here is hard plastic, very well detailed. They did a good job with the browning of the wings and the weathering of the rest of the ship. It's just, you know, on a couple of these things like this, I think they fell short. So, I mean, as an overall with the purchase, you know, is it worth $300? No. Will it eventually be worth $300? Yeah, in about 3 years when they sell out of these things and you go on eBay and they're worth $1,000. But in the meantime, it's, you know, you have to look at this for, you know, I'm sure that at least 30 or 40% of that was paid to Star Trek or Paramount Studios. But here's some cool things to take away from this. Number one, it is very well themed from the movie. Number two, with that being said, with the lava scene and the characterization, they did a really good job on that. If you look carefully at the characters, and I've got a couple of close-up shots here of the characters, they did a good job with the Klingons. Now, I'm going to show you more of a close-up here, if I can, with the camera. But I want you to take a look at this guy. Most, especially if we go back and look at, you know, this from the Enterprise, it's basically just the same Playmobil character they use for any other Playmobil character probably the same hair from the same, you know, all they did was just stick a little bit of a paint right there and an emblem a little bit on there, and that was it. However, with the Klingons, they went next level. So this is not only the painting, but they went in here with, you know, the cuffs on here to give them more of that Klingon look. They even went in with, you know, the knife right here, and the hair. You know, this obviously they started with, but I mean, even down to the ridges on the head, they did a really good job. They could have just used paint, but they went ahead and put the vest on there. They put the sash on there. I mean, it really adds a lot of aesthetic and 3D-ness, if you will, to the actual Klingon character, all the way down to even the boots. They did such a good job with this that they could have just used regular feet, just paint, and painted them up to look like a Klingon. But they didn't. Now, same thing with Spock. They went and completely did a different character with him as well. You know, I don't know of any other Playmobil characters that have, you know, a long robe like that of any particular color. And then they gave him the little extra hood piece here, which doesn't go on his head, but still gives you that impression of the hood. And then, of course, the haircut with the ears. You know, they actually took the time to make Spock more like Spock. Note to Playmobil: if you guys would also include one with a white robe, we could use this for Star Trek 4. I'm just saying. And then, but Kirk, all of a sudden we go back to the same hair, same everything. The only thing they did was just repaint his uniform on top of a red Playmobil figure. They could have went 2D with him with a vest. They could have made the belt 3D, you know, where it actually had a ridge on it like they did with the Klingons. And again, if you're going to be paying $300 for something like this, just like you were paying $500 for something like this, that's the kind of detail that you say, you know what, man, that was worth it. You're just not going to get these. Because there's some Playmobil folks out there that they have built their own Klingons by taking some of the characters and, you know, heating up the heads and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And the stuff some of those Playmobil guys are doing, the collectors, phenomenal level work. And, you know, Playmobil needs to maybe take some notes, and they probably did with the Klingons. But, you know, if you're going to go that far, go the rest of the way. Just saying, you know. So, again, sounds, the lighting issue here. Overall, though, you know, it's definitely, because it's a themed, you know, play set, it does give an additional set of interest, I think, to it. Now, I'm gonna switch gears for just a second as we bring this video to a close. So some things that I did. Now, several of you have asked about this plate down below. This plate down below is a piece of a table that had this fractured looking glass in the middle of it, and then all I did was wrap it with an LED strip, actually for under vehicle lighting, so it had this rubberized plastic backing to it, and, you know, directed the LEDs inward. That gave me a really cool effect. There for a while I was just going to run them parallel underneath it. But by putting them like this, I was able to use it in multiple. If you look at my YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, you see all of the different ways that I've used this plate. I've had it under the Enterprise. I've had it under different collectible pieces. I've used it for just about everything, to be quite honest. But with the lava, this became a good option for it. So with the lava already being here, I put that on top of here and just turned this to red. And of course I can make the red go boom, 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 bright and surge a little bit and give it kind of a cool effect too. So that's how I've made that look. The second thing I did is I added the spotlights right here. I have 4 of them that's angled up into here and up onto the ship to give me that nice after effects. Matter of fact, let me turn down some of the lights so you can see it a little better. So you can see it has a nice ambient glow both for the ship and up on the Enterprise up here. And then I took 2 more of these. By the way, these are very inexpensive on Amazon. They have polished aluminum on here, so it's very nice. It's good quality. You can move these heads around a little bit, and they have a wire that goes back to a centrical hub with it, either a switch, or for $10 more you can get the kind that are dimmable in and out, so you can make it go brighter by turning it up, super bright, or you can just have it go down. These are labeled as bookshelf lights basically, but for me they made a really great showcase look to it. Now I took 2 of these and I put them inside of here so it lights this up, gives that a little bit of a nicer look as well. So that's kind of the added touch that I did with my set. And this also comes with the hangers to hang it up on a rope like you do with the Enterprise. I chose not to do that because, you know, I only have so much ceiling space here, and I already have a bunch of other ships hanging from the ceiling, but I thought this would be really nice to have in contrast, and I had to kind of decide which one that I wanted to go with, whether to suspend this one up and put the Enterprise down or have it the other way around. Because of the play set, that is why I did it this way, because obviously this would just be set in a closet and you would lose that extra, you know, effect. And then, you know, quite frankly, if you're going to spend $300, I want to get every piece of it out of that I can as far as a display goes. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of RB's Toy Box with my review of the Star Trek Klingon Bird of Prey, as it matches up with, and the differences for, of course, with the Enterprise. And I hope that you continue to watch RB's Toy Box. I got lots of videos planned. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe down below. It'd be a big help to me if you would do that, just to let me know that you like what we're doing here at RB's Toy Box. And you know, we'll just keep showing these review videos, and hopefully they're a help to you. You have a good day.